everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon, and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. Years ago, when my daughter was 5 or 6, so my son would have been 2 or 3, we went in the woods. I can't remember what we were doing. We were looking for flowers, acorns, leaves, something like that. And at one point, my daughter wandered a little bit away from my son and I. All of a sudden, now this isn't what happened, but this is the best way that I could think to describe it, which maybe is a little odd. It was almost like she got struck by a sniper. She was just down. The peacefulness of the moment was just, it was just over. All of a sudden, she was screaming, clutching her leg, and she was a little bit away from us. So I'm racing over there. My son's witnessing this. And there was this time period where I didn't know what had happened. I was trying to figure out how she had been hurt. So my son just walked in silently. It turns out she had been stung by a bee. Well, this is just one of those things, it just stuck with him. So for years, he was just terrified of bees. It was his big fear. So keep this in mind. A few years later, we were at our new house. We're in New Hampshire, and I was inside. My kids were playing outside when suddenly I hear, that scream where something terrible has happened. So I race outside, and my kids were running across the lawn, and my son, he was speeding towards me, and he was screaming, "Mommy, help!" So I raced over to him. He had bees on him. Thank God he didn't step on it, but he had gotten near a yellow jacket's nest, and he had been stung a few times already, and he had yellow jackets on his clothes, and they were chasing him. So I'm trying to calm him down. I'm getting the yellow jackets off his clothes, get him all off. I get him in the house. He's hyperventilating. He was crying. He was extremely upset and traumatized. We had figured out later that he had been stung 5 or 6 times. He was distraught, and he was trying to talk to me, and he couldn't get the words out. So eventually I figured out that he was telling me that he could feel them on his clothes. So remember, I just gotten them off him in the driveway. So I'm telling him, "I know, honey, but they're all off now." And he's like, "I feel them." I'm thinking he's telling me that that they were on him because they were outside. He was telling me that they were under his clothes. They were still there. They were crawling on his body. Thank God none stung him at that point. He had to be completely stripped naked to get all these yellow jackets off him. The reason I'm telling you this is because your worst fears can come true. Your worst fears can come true in a way you can't even imagine. My son was afraid of being stung by a bee. He ended up getting stung 5 or 6 times and chased by yellow jackets. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because I want to talk to somebody who is with a narcissist. You're with a narcissist. You highly suspect you're with a narcissist. You're with a toxic person. You're with somebody that is incompatible with life, incompatible with a relationship. If you're with somebody like that, and you have minor children, please hear what I'm trying to say. I can't remember now if it was my son or my daughter. When one of them left preschool, they both had the same teacher. We loved our preschool teacher. We still have Christmas cards with her. She's an amazing woman. Well, she left this note. She gave this note to the mothers. And at the time, her youngest was graduating high school. So she was at the point where I am right now. My youngest is about to start college. My kids are now going out into the world. And her kids were at that point when she wrote this note, when mine were small. We were at different stages of childhood. And she was telling us, and I knew this anyways, but she was telling us, it was a reminder, and it was a good reminder. Enjoy these moments. It goes by quick. Let your kids be kids. Enjoy being a mom. Don't worry so much about cleaning up all the time. The advice that you hear. She was reminding us of that. And I lived that as much as I could. You guys, being a mom is the greatest joy of my life. I've wanted to be a mom my whole life. I was so happy when I had my kids. I struggled with secondary infertility with my son. Giving birth to my son was the greatest joy of my entire life. It was just, and that's no dig on my daughter. You guys know how much I love my daughter. It's because it was something I couldn't have, and it was a gift from God. There's something, it's hard to describe this to somebody that doesn't feel it. But there's a deep longing that I always had to be a mom. It was, and I know it's like people have this longing, right? People like, oh, my biological clock, because it's a real thing for women. You have a desire, some of us, to be a mom, and that's what I wanted to be. And I love being a mom. I love being with my kids, doing things with my kids. I homeschool my kids. I loved it. It was the greatest thing ever. But my kids had their childhood stolen. That was stolen from them. It was stolen from me too. And that's a reality that I live right now. And I don't want anybody else to live that reality. And I don't know that I have every answer for you, but I want you to consider this. When bad things happen in the moment, and I know you know this, but it's a reminder. It's like, Mrs. G writing that letter. When bad things happen in that moment, you're living on adrenaline, right? It's not reality, it's adrenaline. So when I was in the dwindling years with my ex, the last few years, and this started when my son was only 13, my ex just checked out. He just checked out. He wouldn't speak to me. He wouldn't speak to the kids. He just wouldn't come home half the time. We were living a different life, and I suddenly had to go into survival mode. I'm trying to this isn't the video to talk about necessarily what happened, but just so you understand, for those of you that don't know, when my son turned, this actually started around my son's 13th birthday, so it's just like it's a marking point for me. There was no going back for my ex. He turned completely to the dark side. I stopped being codependent, and my ex spiraled to a point that was incompatible with our family. When I said incompatible with life at the beginning of the video, I mean that. Narcissism is incompatible with life. It's like a cancer to you. And when it's involved with you, it's in your house, it's attached to you, you must excise it to have any hope of freedom. But getting it excised is no joke. For some people, it's just impossible to do. What I'm trying to do in this video, which is have you be aware that this is what is happening, because I was not aware. I was living on adrenaline. This shocking thing happened. All of a sudden, my husband checked out, and I was completely alone in survival mode in a dangerous situation where he was threatening us, and there was violence. And I'm trying to get to the point without going backtrack, but just to understand, I was dealing with a terrifically bad situation where I was worried about my kid's life. I was worried about how I was going to stay in my house. Couldn't afford heat. I was a stay-at-home mom. My ex was the breadwinner. All of a sudden, he's taking off, and I'm having to beg him for money every couple of weeks. And he'd sometimes give it, he sometimes wouldn't. I couldn't afford a lawyer. I was living in hell. All of a sudden. And my kids lost their childhood. Now, when I think about it, I don't want to be bitter, but I'm on the other side. I'm out of the adrenaline phase. I'm in the what the heck happened phase. What the hell? What happened? How could this happen? And I'm seeing all these things that I couldn't see before because my eyes were blinded with adrenaline. I was trying to survive. If I'm attacked by a wild animal, I'm not going to be thinking about what I'm going to eat for dinner that night. I'm thinking about how I'm going to get out of this immediate situation. What am I going to do? When you're with a narcissist, you're in a crisis situation. But there are downtimes. And these are the times when you need to get yourself together and prepare for the worst, because the narcissist will bring the worst to you. In almost any situation, somebody I love very much passed away from cancer a year and a half ago. My dog passed away from congestive heart failure this year. I held hope to the very end because I believe in hope, and I believe that good things can happen. I know that they can. When it comes to a narcissist, abandon all hope and save yourself. If you're with a narcissist, you have children, you and the kids are now a separate family. and it sucks. And if you're a mom, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. Being a single mother is not easy at all. It sucks. And the hardest thing about being a single mom, if you're a woman, and I want to make a video about this. I'm struggling to get the words out for it, but I think this is an important video. It's extremely difficult to be a single mother to a son. I cannot give my son what he needs, and I cannot even tell you how much that rips my soul out. If you're with a narcissist, please hear me. Prepare. Keep yourself in the best position possible. Do not let yourself be isolated. Try to maintain some type of friendship. Church, synagogue, something where you have something. Please do not let yourself get isolated. Hoard cash. Secretly get cash. Make sure you have birth certificates, copies of kids' social security numbers, all that type of thing. And remember, the narcissist doesn't care about the kids. They will be nasty. They will want to hurt the kids to hurt you. So I don't know if you should leave or stay. I mean, there's so many different variables that go into this. Today's video, realize they will destroy your children. They will not care. It's up to you to know this. And I don't know what your answer is. My point in today's video is to tell you I feel very strongly that someone needs to hear this. Please be aware that you might be running on adrenaline and you don't know what is really going on. Realize when you're making decisions, make them for the long haul. What will you need later? What do you need now? Do not hold on to hope when it comes to a narcissist. Look, if I'm wrong, it's no sweat off your back. You'll have some cash and you'll have a little bit of freedom if necessary. If I'm right, you could be having moments with your kids that you might otherwise miss. Being a mom, being a dad is the most important thing. It is the best thing, especially if your kids are minor, particularly if your kids are minors. Realize the narcissist will steal everything. And it's so cruel. It's so unfair. And I know you probably don't feel like you have the strength. Just do something, even if you have $100, even if all you can do is think about what you need to do, at least in a crisis, your mind and be going that way. Start somewhere. Just realize if you're with a narcissist, pretending you aren't, hoping for the best is not going to help you at all. Think about it this way. Imagine if I told you that you were going to get in a car accident. I somehow knew you were going to get in a car accident. And you believed me and you thought this was true. You could avoid the car accident by not leaving. If you're already on the way, right? You're in the car and suddenly your brakes fail. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's going to be a car accident. At that point, what we can do, the best thing for us to do would be to prepare for impact, right? Make sure your seatbelt's on. Make sure that, your hands are gripping the wheel. Make sure that your kid's seatbelt's on. Make sure that your eyes are on the road. Do the best that you can do. Make it better. So my point today, your worst nightmare can come true. God forbid, I hope it doesn't, but it might. Be prepared. Just do something. Anything is better than nothing. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Trying to get back to I have so much to say, you guys, because now I'm not in that adrenaline phase. So many of my narcissism videos were in the adrenaline phase. I have so much that I think people need to know if you're leaving a narcissist, divorcing a narcissist, married to one. So stay tuned. I appreciate it. Love you guys. I will talk to you soon. Bye.